Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Austria-born bodybuilder Arnold Schwarzenegger. Arnold Schwarzenegger started his career as a powerlifter at the young age of 15. He won the Mr. Universe at 20 years old. And he also won the Mr. Olympia a whopping 7 times. From 1970 until 1975, where he took a layoff making movies, and came back in 1980 and won again. That 1980 win was one of the most controversial Mr. Olympias ever, in my opinion, because that right there is still talked about today. That 1980 win of Arnold Schwarzenegger is still talked about. How this guy can basically stay off for several years and then come back and win like the other guys made no progress at all. So that was the controversy with the 1980 win of Arnold Schwarzenegger. But today we're talking about whether or not Arnold is the best bodybuilder ever. And for some, he is the best bodybuilder ever. But is he really? I think Arnold Schwarzenegger is very, very charismatic. He has that magnetic type personality that draws people to him. And thankfully that he does have that type of personality, because by him being in the forefront of bodybuilding, he actually have pushed bodybuilding to mainstream. You know, also with the help, in my opinion, with Steve Reeve, who also with his Hercules movies made note of bodybuilding, and Arnold pretty much followed suit with that same model, except he just put more into it and had a greater push toward mainstream because of his charisma. So the thing about it is that, was he the greatest bodybuilder ever? And my opinion, you had bodybuilders that were better than Arnold, ones that he beat. You take for instance Sergio Oliva. Sergio Oliva had no weak points, but Arnold beat him. You take who else did Arnold knock off? You had bodybuilders like Lou Ferrigno, who was bigger than Arnold, and I think he had a pretty good comparison as far as conditioning with Arnold. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, even Mike Mentzer had a better physique than Arnold did. You had a lot of bodybuilders that actually had better bodies than he did, but they did not have that magnetic personality that this guy had. And if it wasn't for that personality, bodybuilding wouldn't be nowhere near where it is now, or as popular as it has become over the years. Arnold is, in my opinion, responsible for that push, that forward push of bodybuilding. You know, him winning the governor of California and then promoting bodybuilding even more. He's making these extravagant movies, promoting bodybuilding even more. So without him, you know, I don't think a lot of us would even be talking about bodybuilding. So he's the most charismatic, but not the best bodybuilder. You know, he's not that. Let's look at his physique. When you look at his back, he had a good back. When you look at his traps, deltoids, and chest, fantastic. I mean, he had one of the most developed chests that you can look at. I mean, from top to bottom. And he's known for his bicep, real high peak. I mean, very large biceps. That's his calling card, his bicep. But on the tricep side, his triceps was a little bit smaller. They should have been a little bit more bigger to match that size of that bicep. And that's kind of like throwed his arms off. Even though he had good arms, the tricep needed to hang a little bit more in order for it to look more balanced. He was also criticized about his legs. His legs was not quite up to par with the upper part of his body. Even though they was good, it's not like they was just throwaway, but they wasn't quite there. And his calves was also in that same situation. Even though later on he did bring the calves up and they did look, you know, pretty reasonable, but they still needed a little bit more size. So Arnold was not the best bodybuilder. He was the most charismatic bodybuilder, the most flamboyant type bodybuilder. And that's what bodybuilder needed more or less than the best bodybuilder for that particular time in the weightlifting arena. That's what bodybuilder needed. They needed somebody who can promote it. And the IFBB being the IFBB, they did do that. They had him to promote that business and made it quite successful. Anyway, that's what I want to talk to y'all about. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. And again, I'll be talking to you later.